Hello, all my wonderful students. Today we're going to continue with part 4 of black and white. And today we're learning about gradients and masks. So let's jump right into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start putting masks and doing some of that spotlighting that I was teaching you guys about. And as you can see here, I've got another virtual copy because I just want to have two of the same thing just in case I want to go back to the old or compare the before and after. So here is the kind of tricky part that you need to know about first, is that masks are kind of like in the same area as the crop tool. And so they're not inside of any of the panels. So what you're gonna do is go right to the top, click on this little circle button, and that is going to give you all of the different masks that you can choose from. We're only going to be using two in this tutorial, and that's going to be the linear and the radial gradient masks, okay? So when you click one of those, you'll see what happens is this whole new box opens up. And here's the tricky part, guys, is you got to be really careful because this box right here that opens looks almost exactly like the basic tab, but it's not, okay? We're still right here under the mask area, the circle button. So basic is down here, and I can actually open that up and show you guys, and then I can close it again. So you can see we're not in the basic, we are in the mask tool. Another thing that opens up is this little box. And what's cool about masks is they kind of act like layers. Like, remember how in Photoshop you have layers that stack on top of each other? Well, in Lightroom you can have the same thing, and every time you add a new mask, you'll see the new mask up in this area right here. We can use this little bitty arrow button to collapse or open up this little mask box, and these are all of the sliders that will apply to every time we put a mask. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to create a new mask, and I'm basically going to go into this plus button, okay? And I'm going to start with a linear, and actually that's what we've already done. So a linear gradient is what we would use normally for the sky. So it's really cool because I can basically rotate that around, drag it out, and even after I put it on there, you'll notice that there's a little square in the middle where I can still move it around, and I can change it. I can make it short or make the gradient big, and I can put it back where I kind of want it to be in the sky, and I can come over here and still rotate it if I want to. But that's basically where I want it to be, is kind of in the sky. And what we're going to do is make the sky darker to add some drama. And as you can see, when you drag out a new mask or a gradient, it looks kind of like this reddish color, and that's just showing you where it's going to affect the image. So now all of these sliders are only for the part that is in red. So I can come over here and change my exposure and make that mask to be whatever setting I want it to be. So because I want to add some drama to the sky, I'm going to add a little bit of contrast, and I'm going to bring the exposure down and make that sky a little bit darker. So now I can always go back, I can click on that mask, and it will basically highlight that for me, where I can change it and move it around if I want to. And I think I want to make the mask just a little bit shorter than what it was, okay? Maybe bring down the darkness just a tad more. Somewhere in there looks pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to go up to this plus icon, and I'm going to add a new mask, okay? And this time I'm going to do another linear gradient, and as you can see, they're stacking up on top of each other, but this time the mask is going to come from the bottom. And what I'm going to do is the water, you can see without the mask, is just a little too dark, and I'm going to brighten that up a little bit more. So I'm going to bring up, whoa, that's way too much. I'm going to bring up the exposure just a little bit, and I'm actually going to extend that mask a little bit further right in that area. Okay, so you can see it's only applying in that area. And actually I want to bring some of the clarity in there as well. See the difference as I slide back and forth? So that is what's so cool about masks. This is going to totally change everything, guys. And what's cool is you see these little buttons that it leaves. You can actually click back and forth and go back and forth from the different masks that you've already placed. And I think I want to make the sky still even a little bit darker. Okay, so I can go back and forth from mask to mask. All right, so just so you can see this, I can actually close the box, or I can click on the mask button again, and now the mask is applied, and I can go back to my basics slider and make global adjustments. You see how that works? So I can close basic and actually go back to my mask and just open up the mask tool again by clicking on the mask icon there on the top. Okay, now here's the really cool part is I'm going to show you how to create a new mask. So we're going to make the click the plus button here again, and this time we're going to do a radial gradient mask. And these are really cool, guys, because this will actually act sort of like a spotlight, where you can actually spotlight different parts and you can move them around. You just click on the little circle part in the middle. And this, I don't want it to be too noticeable. So what I'm going to do is, you see up here at the top slider, you can change the feathering. So the feather, if you bring it all the way down, it'll just look like a red circle. But if you bring it all the way up, it will kind of feather out like that. And I like to feather mine pretty good because, you know, I don't want it to be too noticeable. So that's the way I like it right there. And now what I'm going to do is bring up my exposure, and I'm just going to spotlight that wall. Let me see. I think I want to make the filter a little bit smaller. Okay, so you can move them around after you create them. That's a really cool part. And you know, sometimes if it looks like it's too much, you can go back and change it. Okay, so like I said before, you can click on any of these and go back and forth and change them if you'd like. Let's click the plus sign again, make another radial gradient, and this time I'm going to put it on this building. And I want to spotlight this building. You can rotate them around, move them around wherever you'd like, change the feathering once again, and we'll bring up the exposure on this one. Okay, and this one I think I'm going to move it kind of right here, make it a little bit bigger. So you can see it's literally like I'm shining a spotlight. And this is where you have to be really careful, because you don't want people to tell that you've added, you know, these, you don't want them to be too obvious. Okay, let's put one right here. Okay, that looks pretty good. We'll bring up the exposure on that. Whoa, not too much here. About right there. It looks pretty good. You got to be subtle. We're going to add one more new mask right here. Okay. And I'm just going to highlight this building here. And adding these little spotlights, these little splashes of light, will basically bring so much drama. And let's add another one. We'll put a couple right here. And I'm just going to kind of highlight the bridge. Okay, and we're basically painting with light. Okay, we're painting with light. Create another new mask here. We'll do another gradient. And I just want to put some splashes of light on this bridge. Okay, create one more. We'll just do one more here. And this is something that you can literally just play around with, have fun with it. And I encourage you to do a before and after. All right, that looks pretty good right there. I encourage you to do a before and after so that you can see if you went too far or not, because like I said, you just don't want it to be too noticeable. Let's plus one more time. Let's do one more radial gradient. This time I think I want to do one in the sky. We'll put it back in here, almost like the sun is peeking through. And we'll do kind of like that. Okay, so now I'm done with my masks. If your mask is only affecting the area outside of the circle instead of on the inside, then just check box this little box right here that says invert. Okay, and that should fix it for you. All right, I'm done. I'm going to click close. So now all my masks are inside of there. I can get back to them if I want to. But now I just want to do a little before and after. So here's before and after. Look at the huge difference that made, guys. That is amazing. This will completely change your photography and really add some drama to your black and white. All right, guys, that's it for today. Let's get to work. If you have any questions, let me know. God bless.